So which is nothing but object snap command. Here we have node, node, endpoint, midpoint, intersection, center, quadrant, tangent, perpendicular, and nearest. So that means node is in capitals, end in capital, mid, int, cen, quadrant, qua, tangent, tan, perpendicular, per, nearest, nea. So these are all the capital letters. So only whatever it is there in the capital letters, if you type, it's more than sufficient. Then we have these commands are not the primary commands and are only secondary commands. That means it can be used only within the main command. In order to invoke these commands, the entity must be already existing in the drawing. So what we will see next, what does it mean? Node. This command allows the user to snap the point entity. So that means now if we are considering, say for example, this is the drawing which we are considering. This is the point what we are considering here. So now and henceforth we will going to use the mouse. So for the first we want to put the point. I will say a point, specify a point. So either two we used to give the coordinate, but henceforth we are going to use just the mouse. The moment when you ask for the point, I will just click wherever I want on the drawing sheet and I will just click on the first button of the mouse. So the point is existing in the drawing. So I will say PD mode. I will say 3. So this is how you are going to get the point display mode. So now the next condition, now through this point we want to draw a square of 200 by 200. Now what is that point? The point, this command allows the user to snap the point entity. Now the point is already existing in the drawing. So now to do that, I will go for the point. Now I want to draw a line. I will say line. So I want to select this. To want to select this, so I need to snap this particular point. For a point, the characteristic of the point entity is the node. So I will type node and enter. So then it will ask for the node. So the moment when you take the cursor onto this, you can see here there is a highlighter wherein it is coming with a green this thing. This is what is called the aperture, and node is appearing in that. The moment when you click on that, so it will going to snap that particular point by using the first button of the mouse. Then we want to give the coordinate. So what is the relative polar coordinate system? I will say at the rate. So from that particular point, I want to give the distance as 200, which is less than, angle is 0. I will enter. Then again, I want to move it in the vertical direction at the rate of 200 less than 90. Again, at the rate of 200 less than 180. And then I will say close. So this is how you will be able to complete this drawing. So now we have this initial position of the drawing. Now once you do that, now we want to draw a line from the midpoint, from here to here and also from here to here. So this line is exactly starting at the midpoint of this horizontal line to the midpoint of this horizontal line, and this from the midpoint of this to midpoint of this, or we can say this line is from midpoint of this to perpendicular. This is 90 degrees to this line, and this is from midpoint of this to perpendicular to this. So we can use perpendicular also. So I want to use all these things. So the midpoint is, this command allows the user to snap for the exact midpoint of a line. For the line entity, we can draw, we can take the midpoint of the line and also the perpendicular. This command allows the user to draw an entity at right angles to the entity. So now these two will go to show now. So to do that, I will say line. I will consider MID midpoint. So since the line is already existing in the drawing, I will take the cursor on this particular line. So the moment when you take the cursor on this particular line, so the midpoint, you can see the aperture is exactly at the midpoint of that line. You just click on that. So from that point, it will going to take exactly to 90 degrees to this entity. So I will say PER and enter. So when you take the cursor on this, automatically the perpendicular will be appearing on that particular line. You just click over that. And now I want to cancel this. You just give a null return. Again, we go invoke this particular command line. Now we will take from the midpoint of this, then to perpendicular to this line. So this is how you will be able to draw this. Now the next condition is we have, now the next thing what we need to do is I want to draw a line from this point to this point and also from this point to this point. So here these two lines are intersecting, so we can take intersection of this, or we can say the endpoint of this line and to endpoint of this line. We can take this to this endpoint and to this endpoint, or intersection. So one is the endpoint of this horizontal or this vertical line and the intersection of this to the intersection of this, or endpoint of this line to the endpoint of this line. So this is how you will be able to draw this. Now the endpoint is, so this command allows the user to snap the endpoint of a line or an arc entity. Wherever the entity which you can see the endpoint characteristics, there you can use this. And also intersection, this command allows the user to snap any two intersection of entities between two lines, like as we see in here. We have one line is intersecting with respect to the other, and we have another line with respect to the other line. So two lines or two circles or two arcs or multiple combination of the entities. Now to do that, command is line. So now specify first point, I will say int, that is intersection. I will type int and enter. I will take this intersection point. You take the cursor on the intersection point only. Only for this we need to have on the intersection point to the intersection point of this. Now we have drawn this. Again you just give an enter. Again we go for a line command. Your previous command is line. You just select that and you type int of this to the, here we can give intersection because the two lines are intersecting. Since the point is already existing in the drawing, we can say node. And also we have the endpoint of this vertical line or the endpoint of this horizontal line. I will say int here for the time being. We're going to use this, and now you enter it. So this is how you will be able to write this. Now we go for this one. How to draw this? We can use endpoint of this horizontal line or the midpoint of this vertical line or intersection of these two. To endpoint of this or the midpoint, again endpoint or midpoint of this, again we have the endpoint or the midpoint. So to do that, I will say line. We will consider end now because we have not used the endpoint. So take the cursor on this endpoint. If I want to say intersection, then we have to go for this. Let us see. I will take the cursor on this nearest to that particular end, so automatically that will consider that. And I want to go for this. I will say intersection. Exactly. Take the cursor onto this intersection. So then I want to have the midpoint. I will take the midpoint of this. You are going to go to that. Again, I will say end of this. I will take the endpoint of this vertical line. And instead of this, I can say close also. We can say close. So this is how you will be able to draw this now. The next option what we have is, now we want to draw the circle. So what is the circle here? The circle of radius 20. So to do that, command is circle. So which are all the options which we can use? One is the endpoint of this or the endpoint of this or endpoint of this or the intersection of all the three. So here I will take intersection, specify center point. So what is the radius you want? Radius is 20. So I will type 20 here. Again command is circle. I will take endpoint of this, take this, and the radius is 20. You type 20, enter. Then again circle. You will take intersection of these three. You take this, specify radius of circle is 20, enter. Now I will say circle. The point is already existing in the drawing. I will say node, and then I will try to take this. The radius of the circle is 20, so I'm going to get this circle here, which is of diameter 60. So to do that, command is circle. So which are all the options which you can use here? One is the end or the intersection. Since you have already having the circle, so I will going to use specify center point for circle. The center point will be center of this circle. You take the cursor on the circumference and you just click over this. And now we want the diameter. So here the diameter option, invoke that particular diameter option and type the diameter of the circle as 60. Then again command is circle. Now in this case, again the center option, we can see here, if this command allows the user to draw any entity from the center point of a circle or arc. We have the circle. Now we will say center of this. We will take center of this and the diameter is 60. So type diameter and type 60. Again we take the circle command, take the center. In this case I can use intersection also, because already the intersection is also there at the center point. You take this and then diameter, you type 60. Again we take circle and again you take center of this, CEN, center of this, and take the diameter as 60. Now whenever we have the intersection, always you must use intersection. That is basically because don't use the endpoint, because if the two lines are not intersecting, then it will go into it will not be able to snap that intersection point if it is not properly intersecting. Suppose if you consider endpoint, even though it is not intersecting, but it appears to be like intersecting, then since you have given endpoint, it will going to take the endpoint of the that particular line. So we have to be careful when you are using these type of Osnap commands. So whenever we have the always intersection is there, try to prefer the intersection rather than going for the endpoint. Now the next option is, now we want to draw from the quadrant point of this circle to the quadrant point of this circle. Again quadrant of this to quadrant of this, quadrant of this to quadrant of this, and quadrant to this quadrant. So that means we are trying to draw the quadrant points, allows the user to snap the circle at 0 degree, 90 degree, 180 degree and 270 degree measured from the counterclockwise direction. Now we will going to show that. Command is line. I will say quadrant QUA of this 90 degree line to the quadrant of this. I will take this again, line, quadrant of this, and again quadrant of, by taking the cursor on that circle, you just click on this, that is 0 degree. So the moment when the aperture appears, you just click on the first button of the mouse, and now we have the quadrant, and then enter it. Again we go for a line command, then you type QUA and then take the quadrant of this circle, which is 270 degree, and to quadrant of this, you take this quadrant. So again quadrant of this line QUA, quadrant of this to quadrant of this. So we are going to get this. Now the next part will going to be on this. So we will going to draw a line from tangent of this circle to the intersection point to the tangent to this. So to do that, command is line. I will say tangent, TAN, tangent of this circle to the intersection point or the midpoint or end point. You take this. Again we will say tangent to this. Now again the line, I will say tangent of this circle to the intersection point of this to tangent. Take the cursor nearer to that tangent, automatically it will going to draw to the tangent of that circle. Again line, so I will say tangent of this to intersection point of this to tangent to this. Then line, tangent of this to intersection point of this to tangent to this. So this is how you will be able to get the command. So this is how we can use the Osnap commands in our particular drawing. So this is the application of the Osnap when we are trying to draw the drawing by using this. So here by using the Osnap we have constructed this particular drawing. Here if you see, we have not used any coordinate systems. So henceforth we will not use much of the coordinate systems, and only we are going to use whenever it is required only the commands. And here the Osnap will going to play a major role. So to get into the Osnap mode, we can see these are all the Osnap modes. So we have the object snap settings also. We can see here. Here by default object snap settings will always be hidden, so that you will not be able to understand how it will going to be behaving. Suppose if you say the endpoint, midpoint, and the center point, all these things which you are enabling, then there is no need for us to write the Osnap commands by using the keyboard. But the advantage what you have, suppose if you click on this, there is always a chances of committing a mistake. So that is the reason why we will going to clear this all these Osnap settings, and then you will going to execute, or you are going to type the commands as and when which is required on the particular drawing. So this will going to give the more accurate drawing rather than by clicking on the Osnap commands, by setting of Osnap commands. So now this is how we will be using the application of Osnap in our